Alright, let's do this. Hi everyone, this is Abby and I am making my 9-month on HRT video. It is actually the afternoon, which is nice. I'm actually doing this at a reasonable hour, so 2 p.m. instead of 2 a.m. And, right, so I just decided I'm actually having kind of a good day despite 2 sessions of laser yesterday, so I thought I would go ahead and make this video. Vanity. So we've got an outline of a couple things that I wanted to talk about in the experiences that I've had in the last month. Number one, breast growth. It's coming, yeah, it's coming actually really well. And it's just making things a little bit nicer. It's just really just nicer to dress like a girl and to have, you know, enough of a shape that you can be a bit stylish and you don't have to hide stuff. And yeah, they're fun. That's really about it. Push-up bras are wonders. And if you really want to get the big cleavage, I learned from another girl, cis-sexual girl, 2 push-up bras, 2 of them. Boom, there they are. And you can use highlighter and bronzer. Yeah, so again, more vanity, but kind of cool too. Kind of nice, come on. And then friends, you know, and that actually is a nice little segue because I guess what's happened is I've gotten comfortable enough in myself as Abby, as a woman, that I've been making more and more friends that are straight women, and that's been actually really cool because, you know, I love the gay men in my life, and they are wonderful and they are supportive. You know, but there's something to be said about building bonds with other women where there is no sexual component. You know, I mean, admittedly, I do tend to be attracted sexually to women more so than men, as I've talked about. But that's a chemical connection. That's a chemistry. I mean, that's not true of every woman that I see that's attractive. I don't feel that way. So, it's actually been nice to kind of confide and talk about just some general experiences of being a woman in this world, and, you know, I mean, the good sides and the bad sides, really. Yeah, so, you know, ever so gradually, I don't know about any other trans women, but I know for me, I had a lot of insecurity about being a trans woman and being around other women. I mean, let's face it, some women can be really catty and they can say, "Oh, you look so good." In the back of the mind, they're thinking, "Bitch, you look like a $2 whore." You know, it's true, and I've learned this from other women. But that does not, you know, that's not all women. That's people with issues. But nonetheless, I mean, I felt a lot of fear, right? Because as a trans woman, I'm thinking, oh shit, you know, they're looking at my hair, they're looking at this, they're looking at that, and they're going, look at that trans woman over there. And yeah, just, so what did I do? You know, I curled up in my shell, and then I didn't talk to any of them, and I just hung out in the GLBTQ crowd. So I'm breaking out of that gradually and feeling pretty good about that. Regardless, you know, because we're all just individuals, you know, I mean, we can get, I can get so lumped up in any given insecurity on a given day. And, you know, sometimes it's so much in my own brain, which I'm discovering. I know that's true of men too, for sure. But I know that it also has a lot to do with a lot of women experience that too. You know, like last night I went to a red dress event party, which is for AIDS research and health benefits and things like that. So it was a fundraiser. And, you know, I mean, everybody told me, they were like, "Abby, you look beautiful." I had my hair done, new hair, right? I had my hair done, I had this beautiful little red dress on, nice little pair of black slingbacks. And, you know, I told somebody, and I was just negative the whole night because they were like, "Abby, you look wonderful." I was like, I look like a $2 hooker that should be sucking on Vince Neil's dick. And that's what I felt like. I looked in the mirror and that's what I saw. I saw trashy. Which, you know, anyway, where I grew up, that would have probably been me. Honestly, had things played out differently, so my own insecurities on multiple levels there. But the thing was, it was, you know, it was all in my head in terms of what, how I was actually being perceived. But I put that negativity out there So, you know, other people were like, well, wait a second, you know, she may look good, but she's about as fun as a turd, which is true. And actually, the only thing good that I can say is that I left early because I was like, you know what, I'm just not in a mental place to be positive, and I don't want to bring other people down with my bullshit. So I came home and I went to bed, you know, pretty much. And okay, so segueing. I think I talked about briefly my business trip, this last business trip, and I just want to say a couple things that I've been experiencing more of. And again, these are sort of shared experiences, but it's a bit weird as a trans woman, right? Which is privilege. Yes, privilege. So, on the one hand, sexism, particularly from straight men. Sorry guys, not all straight men. I'm starting to really like some straight men as friends. Not all of you, but there are, I have, in my experience, there are contingents of straight men, typically your sort of uber males. They become very sexist and you know, very condescending and dismissive of a woman's input. You know, like I would participate in some of these meetings and things like this, and I would say something which I know is very valid, same method of doing something within software engineering, and it was just ignored, out of hand, just didn't even hear it. But, you know, one of the guys said something on that same thread, you know, 5 minutes later, and everybody's all ears and wants to talk about it like it's the next great idea. Interesting, right? And then, though, interestingly enough, you know, at other times, like, and this is outside of work, but then at other times too, you know, you experience that, and then you're out with guys, and then you get the reverse privilege, which is you sort of experience like the chivalry thing. It's like, well, you don't really have anything to contribute intellectually, but, you know, you're nice looking, so I'll open doors for you and, you know, seat you at a table and get you menus and all of that. All right. Which, of course, you know, is the complete opposite from when you're a guy, right? Because, you know, when you're a guy, people listen to you, you get your deep voice, and you sit and, you know, you buckle up your shoulders, and you know, you do your manly routine, and you put your ego there out on the table, and you get up and you rooster it out with them, and they fucking listen to you. True. At least in the settings that I've dealt with, not making huge generalizations, I'm not super wise, but that was my experience as a guy, interacting with the world as a male, okay? And then as a female, as me, the real me, it's very, very, very different. You know, and the same thing is like, you know, most guys don't open, unless you're like really good friends, they're not opening the door for you. They sure as hell are not letting you, you know, seating you in a chair. So that was sort of interesting. And then a little piece of advice, you know, one of the things that occurred to me, and I'm like at 8 minutes, that I really wanted to put out there for trans women is I really wish that I would have had a mentor in my transition. Truly. I mean, I really, really think that our trans community would benefit a lot of trying to help newly transitioning women, because there's so many mistakes that you make that could be avoided if you had an older trans sister. You know, even to the stuff of like clothes and makeup and stuff. It's just like somebody to calm you down and go, you know what, your body's going to change a lot. Don't buy a lot of clothes. Don't get so insecure. You know, this is a common emotion. You know, just to try and, I almost really think that we should, and I really want to look at this a bit more and see if there's a way, at least in Seattle, that we might be able to do some mentoring within the context of an actual counseling service, because there's just so much, you know, stuff that I know that I went through, that every other trans girl goes through, that, you know, we could make it a lot easier for someone else who's early in transition. So that's the next thing. The other thing that's big on my plate, and then I'm going to close out, is that I am going to submit my application for the Seattle City GLBTQ Commission. So I'm hoping to do some good activism there and work with the city council and meet some new people that are doing some really great stuff for our community. So in general, life is pretty darn good. And with that, 9 months is rocked, and I'm hoping for, you know, some good stuff to say at 10 months. And I'm going to close out because I'm about out of time. All right. Be true to yourself, and I wish you all the best in the next month.